G'day everybody, my name's Matt. Today I'm going to talk to you about negotiation mistakes made by nearly everybody. And yes, I am coming to you live from my lovely location in Warburton here. So I've got my mate on the back, he's going to help me out. This is Barry. So if you do appreciate this content, please obliterate the like button, make it turn blue. It's massively helpful for the YouTube algorithm. Subscribe to the channel for more awesome content as well. So without further ado, let's get into it. Now, the first mistake most commonly made by people when it comes to negotiation is not thinking to ask or not knowing to ask. Now, the first thing you can do to combat this problem is have it at the forefront of your mind. Whenever you're making a transaction or a purchase, think about negotiating. There's not many situations in which you can't negotiate. And in most cases, it's going to be good fun for yourself and the person you're negotiating with. It'll brighten up their day a bit because they'll be able to give you value, more value than they give to other people. They'll feel good about that for helping you out, and you'll feel good for getting some form of discount. So always be negotiating. Keep it in mind, write it on your hand if you have to, but remember to always ask. Go out of your comfort zone with it. Go to places that you wouldn't normally negotiate and try negotiating. It can be a lot of fun, and it's a great way to increase your skill set of negotiation itself. Now, the second mistake people generally make when it comes to negotiation is being scared of hearing the word no. Don't be scared of no. People intrinsically have two choices, binary ones and zeros, yeses and nos. It's their prerogative to make the decision to say no. It's a good opportunity for you to learn when you do get the no of why that came to happen. But you should go into a negotiation knowing 50% likelihood it'll work and 50% likelihood it won't work. So they're the odds. So you should have half expectation of a no, and don't be scared of them. They're perfectly normal and they're good in a lot of situations. It allows you to learn. Another really common mistake people make is not having a structure or not knowing the steps to take when it comes to negotiation. Step 0 is planning. Obviously, planning. Prior preparation prevents piss poor performance, and that goes for negotiation without a doubt. You want to know as much as you can about the product or service or whatever it is you're negotiating over. You want to know as much as you can about the person or entity that you're negotiating with, and you want to have thought out of the likely flow of the negotiation. Really important as well, you want to know the maximum price that you're willing to spend on whatever it is before you start negotiating. You need to have that in mind, and you need to be very clear on it. Ideally, get in there and start low, and you want to have an idea in your head of the likely steps the negotiation is going to take, because it's obviously a bit of a process. It's a deal you're making with somebody, so there's going to be a process in there, and you need to have kind of visualized what that process is going to be. So step 0 is basically to plan everything you can. Now, step 1 is really important, and it's one that we teach at Success by Process all the time in many situations, be it sales, negotiation, communication, and it's to make a friend before you make a deal or to make a sale. Make a friend before you make a sale. What that means is you want to build rapport with the person that you're negotiating with. Obviously, it's much more likely to result in favorably if the person likes you. So you've got to go through that rapport building phase with the person before starting the negotiation ideally, or during it, to make it more favorable for both of you. Make a friend before you make a sale. Step 2 is a pretty simple one. You want to show your knowledge, show your authority on the topic. So you've done the research on the product, you've done the research on the person, you know the limitations and defining constraints of whatever it is you're negotiating over, be it a house, be it a car, be it a bar of chocolate at the 7-Eleven down the road. You know the defining constraints and limitations. Hello, mate. So at this point, you want to convey them to the other person. You want to let them know that you know about the product, you know about the person, you know about the defining constraints and limitations, and also the good aspects of the product. And you want to show that authority and show that knowledge. This way they know that they're dealing with somebody of caliber, somebody who knows what they're talking about and isn't going to go down lightly in the negotiation. Step 3. Now, we've done the planning, we've made a friend, we've done the rapport building, we've shown our authority and knowledge. Step 3 is to start the bargaining process. So ideally, obviously, you want to start relatively low, not so low that they don't take you seriously whatsoever, but take a good wedge off, because shy babies get no sweeties. So start that process with your offer. Step 4. Now, the bargaining phase. This is the actual negotiation and deal-making phase. So ideally, you're going to have started low, and likely what's going to happen is the other party are going to make a counter offer. Now, you've got to have your best poker hat on right now. You've got to be reading their tells on their face, the minute facial expressions, their body language, actively listening to the way that they gave that counter offer to you. And you've got to quickly decide how much conviction they made it with. If it was their final offer or if it was not. Now, this only comes through experience, which is why you should be practicing negotiation all the time, so you can use it when it matters most on big purchases like houses and things like that, where you can save lots and lots and lots of dollars, which is the whole purpose of negotiation. So once they make their counter offer, if they've got massive conviction and you think it's the final offer that they're going to make, it's up to you if you're going to take it or not. You should know this based on the maximum price that you were willing to the maximum amount of money you're willing to give them, which was decided in step 0. If they've done it without loads of conviction, if you think you can bargain a little bit further, it's time to do that. So it's time to use as much conviction as you possibly can in your delivery. Your delivery is so important in the way that you deliver your counter offer, we'll call it. And while you're doing this, or before you make that counter offer, you want to, again, relist the defining constraints. The benefits are really good of whatever it is. You want to show that you do want it, but you are indifferent to the result of this bargain. Because whatever it is, there's likely more of them on the market. You've got to show indifference, not desperation, while negotiating. It's vitally important. For more tips on this kind of thing, jump down in the description of this video. Check out our website, Success by Process. Check out Foundations. It's our flagship course that will basically level you up to the level of a Jedi Sith Lord when it comes to negotiation, sales, and communication. Check it out. We've also got a load of free resources on there, so check them out too in the blog section. Step 5, accept, and accept graciously. If you're going to accept whatever it was that you came to the conclusion of in the bargaining phase, do it with grace. And again, make a friend. You never know what can happen after a negotiation, and you should never burn bridges. This is in your professional life, ideally your social life as well. And anytime you negotiate, you want to create a long-term relationship, ideally, with whoever you're negotiating with, because you never know what's going to happen down the track. You don't know if the product is going to have a problem. You don't know if they're going to have another deal for you later on that might be beneficial to you. And they'll remember you from this interaction. So make sure you leave a good lasting impression. Make a friend. Go back to rapport building after you've made the final deal. If you found those steps useful, let me know by smashing the like button. Now, the next tip when it comes to mistakes people make when negotiating is not using silence. Silence, or pausing, can create tension. Use that silence. At Success by Process, we call this the STFU phase. And I'll let you figure out what that stands for, but you do it after every single close. In any sales situation, any negotiation, after you deliver an offer, shut the flip up. Be quiet. The first person to speak in this situation is likely the loser of the negotiation. So after you make your counteroffer or your offer, quiet, silence. That silence is golden. Remember that. Use silence to your advantage. The next tip follows on from the silence tip, and that is to use indifference. A lot of people fall into the trap of showing how much they are desperate to buy whatever the item is or whatever the thing they're negotiating over within the interaction. Especially if you're working or negotiating with a salesperson or somebody who does whatever they're selling you or whatever you're negotiating with them over. If they do this for a living, they're going to be reading you like a book. So it's really important to be the mysterious stranger in this situation, the indifferent stranger. Show that you're not really concerned about the result of this negotiation. Obviously you want it, you're there, but if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. It's not the end of the world. Let them know through your body language and through your tone that you're indifferent to the situation. This will help you dividends. The next one is not asking for a big enough discount. Now, like I said earlier, this is just to hammer home that point of shy babies get no sweeties. If occasionally you don't try your luck and ask for a really big discount, you're never going to get a really big discount. So you can always move up in price. If you make an offer and it's too low, they're going to tell you. All you've got to do at that point is build a bit of more rapport with the person and then make another offer, a higher offer, a more reasonable offer. So don't be afraid to make low offers now and then. They do come off on occasion, and that is brilliant. The next tip I have touched on already, but it's a vitally important tip. Now, this is a common thing that happens in any negotiation. There's always going to be one person who's better at negotiation than the other. Now, ideally, you want to be the better person, and the mistake basically is falling prey to better negotiation techniques. So there's one surefire way to make yourself better at negotiation and communication and the realm of sales, and that's to jump down in our description and check out Foundations. So have a look at that now. Another really common mistake people make when negotiating is what I call using incorrect wording or structure. And what this is, it's asking questions of the person you're negotiating with that make it easier for them to say no than to help you. So ideally, you need to create questions or ask questions that make it easier for them to help you than for them to say no. I'll give you an example. If you were negotiating, let's say, over the purchase of a car, and you ask the car salesman, could I get it any cheaper? The easy thing for them to do is to say no. So that's the path of least resistance. That's likely what they're going to do. Now, what's another way you could ask this same question? Ideally, you want to have come up with a whole load of reasons for them to make it cheaper for you. But if you're just going to use a basic question structure like that in your negotiation, a better question to ask in this situation is something like, how can we make this decision a bit easier for me? Something that leads them to be able to help you rather than make it easier for them to just say no. So you can see that was more of an open question rather than the closed question that is going to receive a single word answer, likely a negative answer, which is no. You want to make it an open question that inclines them to help you. So it's really important to use correct language and correct question lines, which you can learn about in Foundations. The final common mistake people make during negotiation is not asking because they feel like it's going to come across as combative or insulting. Now, it's really important to understand that if you keep it factual and keep it light, don't make it personal, you're not going to come across as combative. Nobody can be unhappy with you or upset with you for wanting better deals in life. That's perfectly reasonable. Everybody wants it. It's up to you to get them. The best way to not come across as combative or aggressive is to use those correct steps that we've talked about during this whole vlog. So make sure you build rapport. Make sure you keep it factual and rational. Don't let emotion come into it. And basically make a friend before you negotiate. Easy as that. The most important thing to remember from this list is to just have a go. The more you practice, the better you're going to be at negotiation. So get out there and try.